Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It is your host with the biggest nose, JC Courtside, coming at y'all today. All right, whatever. Coming to y'all today. Whatever. Okay, I messed up the intro, but it's fine. You guys know me at this point. That's 2 intros I messed up in a row. I literally just went through an 82 game season and all of the playoffs and didn't mess up the intro a single time. But yet here we are, ladies and gentlemen. Today we are discussing. Did I say the date? Wednesday, June 24th. Today, we are discussing my biggest winners, losers, and surprises of the NBA draft that went on last night at 8 p.m. Eastern on ESPN and ABC. I did a watch party with my Discord server last night. We hung out. We had a good time. It was a lot of fun. And yeah, today, overall, there's a lot of things to talk about, but I got to say this immediately. I do not watch college basketball until March Madness. All right? So the season, I don't watch it. I don't want anybody to get upset with me for anything I'm going to say. That's why I'm telling you guys that off rip immediately. I only watch March Madness. All right. So my knowledge is based off of highlights. My knowledge is based off of what their mock draft said about them. That's where most of my knowledge comes from. And of course, from my basketball knowers that I talk to. I got to say that immediately. Now that we got that out of the way, I feel like I want to start. I've been contemplating between my losers and winners on who I want to start with, but I think I'm going to start with my winners. Okay, I'm a positive guy, so I like talking about that first. So, podcast listeners, be sure to leave a 5-star rating and review. TikTok, YouTube, be sure to drop a like, follow, subscribe, all that jazz. And Twitch chat, you guys already know, you guys got the easiest job in the whole entire world. Just sit back, relax, grab a cup of coffee or an energy drink, and enjoy the show. Let's get started with my biggest winners of the NBA draft. And up first, I have the Wizards selecting AJ Dembانsa or Dembonsa. I'm going with Dembonsa. It just sounds way more tough to say. He was selected number one in the NBA draft. Now, overall with AJ, he is by far, I think, the best all-around player in this NBA draft. I think he is. As far as scorer goes, I'm going to give that to the number 2 pick in Darren Peterson. But best all-around player, offensively, defensively, I think Dembonsa is going to have a very successful career ahead of him. My overall projection for his rookie year is he's got Trae Young there. And Trae Young, with all his faults, is prolific at one thing. And that's playmaking. So I think the goal for this team, it's not going to be get a top 3 seed because they don't have the talent in order to do so. They also don't have the health or the repertoire or the resume to do that. But I think their goal is going to be getting AJ Dembonsa involved as much as possible. And of course, when you have the number 1 pick, you're always, regardless of what year it is, you're always going to be the biggest winner unless you pick a pick that nobody agrees with. All right. We've had that in the past many, many times. The Wizards, I think, are going to be a play-in team next year. I think they're going to be. I think they have what it takes. Even if AD only plays half the games, I think they're still a play-in team. I think the biggest critique about Dembonsa is that he takes poor shots. He takes bad shots. And in fact, I think what I want to do, because I know I'm not alone. I know I'm not alone when I say that I only watch March Madness. So I'm going to go ahead and read you their draft profile just so you can get a better understanding of who these guys are. So AJ Dembonsa's strengths. He has elite positional size, strength, and movement skills, and he thrives attacking downhill and in the mid-range. He excels at drawing fouls and playing through contact. He grew in a more mature, decisive player between November and March and showed growth in getting teammates involved as a passer. So great defender, has potential to be a defender, like a great defender, and he's also a much better playmaker than people really thought he'd be. His weakness is that he doesn't impact the game much without the ball in his hands. And he's inconsistent shooting from long range and will have to keep defenses honest to hit his ceiling as a jumper. So as long as he continues to improve his handle and his capabilities of being a physical defender, he's going to be a great NBA player. Now, does that sound like anybody in the NBA? If you guys just heard what I said, didn't watch any of his tape, don't know anything about him, never watched him play a single game of basketball, who in the NBA does that, what I just described, remind you of most in the NBA when they were coming into the league? I'll give you guys about 5 seconds. And the reason I said 5 is because he wears number 5. Anybody do 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 do. Okay, well, my answer would be Anthony Edwards. Anthony Edwards, especially now, if he doesn't have the ball in his hands, he's providing nothing. And that is AJ Dybantsa's biggest knock right now. If he doesn't have the ball, he's not going to play make, he's not going to score, and it's not going to lead to much. But what does stand out is his defense. Now, in case you guys missed yesterday's show, if you guys haven't watched me throughout the year, something I've pointed out is that Anthony Edwards this year, could be because of the injuries as well, his defense was abysmal. He was one of the worst defending shooting guards in the NBA as far as starters and stars go. So it could be because of injuries. It could be because lack of effort. It could be a combination of both things. So long as Dybantsa can keep his defensive capabilities up, what the Wizards are hoping when they gave Trae Young that disgusting contract is that they're hoping that Dybantsa, Alex Sarr, and Anthony Davis can cover up Trae Young's mistakes. They're looking at the New York Knicks and saying, man, we'd like to win a championship. We'd like to win. We got a small guard that sucks at defense. Maybe we can get enough guys to block out that poor defense from our point guard. The Wizards template, the Wizards on paper, if injuries didn't exist, I have them above a lot of teams in the East. Like, it gets uncomfortable with how many teams I have them above. I have them above the Heat right now. If both teams are fully healthy, I have the Wizards above the Heat as far as roster right now. Injuries don't exist. Fatigue is turned off. I have the Wizards above the Miami Heat right now. But alas, Anthony Davis is never healthy. Giannis Antetokounmpo is never healthy. Trae Young has not been healthy. So all in all, I believe the Washington Wizards will be a play-in team. And of course, the Miami Heat will be a playoff team. I don't think that's a hot take at all. I think a lot of people are much, much higher on the Wizards. Of course, there's only one person that disagrees with me. Even with the 150 people in the TikTok, most of y'all agreed with me. The only person that denied me was Beezy, our biggest Heat fan. But yeah, I think that goes without saying. If both teams are fully healthy, I got the Wizards above the Miami Heat's current roster. I genuinely do. But of course, we all know that's not a real possibility. We don't, if, ands, or buts, it doesn't exist. So in my opinion, I think the Wizards and AJ Dybantsa specifically are my biggest winner. Number one, biggest winner. I'm very, very excited to watch the Washington Wizards. I'm very, very excited to watch AJ Dybantsa. I genuinely believe he has some of the most potential out of any player in recent drafts. I think he's going to be awesome. I think he's going to be really, really good. So that's why I have AJ Dybantsa my number one biggest winner of this NBA draft. Let's go ahead and talk about my second biggest winners. All right. It's the Atlanta Hawks and it's the Milwaukee Bucks. All right. Now, I think this goes without saying, right? The Atlanta Hawks with Ansi Salah, they are building such a great team. In this draft, they got Kingston Flemings. They got Zuby Ejiofor. Sorry, I don't know how to pronounce his name. But they got Zuby and they got Kingston Flemings. And I think both of those guys will not only help this team. They got Flemings, which, you know, it's kind of an if, but he was linked to Atlanta all along. I think the big pickup there is Zuby at 23. They need a big man. They need bigs. And all in all, watching what the Atlanta Hawks have been building has truly been a joy. I think CJ McCollum is going to take Kingston Flemings under his wing, and he's going to make him turn into some ungodly guard. I think so. Because Flemings isn't really a wing, and he's not really a guard. I think he's a really good pickup, though. I think he's a really good pickup. Now, for the Bucks side, this side is what gets me super excited. Now, they got Braden Burries with their pick, and then they ended up taking Nate Ament with their pick that they got in the Giannis trade. Now, I'm going to start with Nate. Nate has so many raw capabilities that can make him super, super special. The unfortunate part is that people look at him and honestly, reading his mock board sort of makes him sound like Cade Cunningham. I'm not just saying that because I'm a Pistons fan. I'm saying this actually in a negative connotation. So if you are a Bucks fan, open your ears. They said the same exact negatives about Nate that they did about Cade. Not because they're similar players, but because of their biggest knock is their lack of efficiency. So if that's any telltale, if that's the main reason why he fell, then I think that's pretty good. That's a good upside. That's a pretty good upside, man. He's 6'9", I believe, and he plays what, a forward? I think Nate Ament is going to be very special. In fact, his strengths is his tantalizing mix of size. He's 6'10", 207. Perimeter skill and shot making potential, fitting a coveted forward archetype that's difficult to find in any draft. He has room to gain strength as his body matures and should develop into a better jump shooter than he showed in college. And look at his biggest knock, shooting 43% on 2-point attempts and struggled as a finisher. Honestly, this guy's got so much raw upside. I'm very, very excited. Very excited to watch him play. And then, of course, Braden Berries. Braden Berries, I did not know much about. I'm telling you guys, as a just strictly March Madness enjoyer, I did not know much about him. But reading this and watching his highlights, it's a thing of beauty. Berries is a well-rounded combo guard and a solid shooter who plays both ends of the floor and rebounds for his position well. He can create for himself and his teammates in a range of secondary actions. His multiple strengths give him several pathways to NBA success. Now, his biggest knock is that he's the oldest freshman in this draft and an average athlete for his position. He's not a naturally gifted point guard, and he is undersized for a wing. His appeal centers more on an immediate, well-rounded game than a high-end projection. And I really think that the Bucks and the Atlanta Hawks, for my two teams that were involved with trades, that were involved with taking risky guys, I think those are both great pickups for the Milwaukee Bucks. And again, I do have to say for the first time in today's podcast, if you guys do enjoy the stream, I do this all off season long. I do this all season long. Be sure to come through to the Twitch stream. That's JZ Uncut on Twitch. The link is in my bio, ladies and gentlemen. Come through, hang out with me, talk with me. I only read my Twitch chat, so I'd love to see you guys come through. All right. Now, those are my biggest winners. And I think the Hawks have me most excited as far like, bro, there's so many fun teams to watch next year. You got the Hawks, you got the Heat, you got the Wizards, all three teams who I'm going to say missed the playoffs. The Hawks didn't miss the playoffs, but you get what I mean. Either a lower seed, and and now that they have like some interest and some expectations now, it's getting very exciting. It's getting very exciting. So shout out to the Hawks, shout out to the Bucks. I think they both got, this is the most important thing about the NBA draft. Sometimes, for example, like the San Antonio Spurs last year. Do you guys remember how they got the number 2 pick? They got lucky and they jumped to the number 2. Now, right before that draft, in the middle of the season, they traded for De'Aaron Fox, right? And when they traded for De'Aaron Fox, they said, okay, our point guard position is filled now. We're good. We got our PG. And when they got the second pick, they were like, well, we don't need a PG, but we got to take the best player on the board. So they ended up taking Dylan Harper. Sometimes when you draft, you got to take the best player available and worry about positioning later. Worry about fit later. That's a future problem that you can decide. So the Spurs, they went on and got Dylan Harper, and look at everything that we saw in the playoffs. Look at everything we saw in his rookie year. Now this isn't even a problem for the future. This is oh my God, I can't believe we got this lucky and got such a talented rookie as a point guard. So in this case, I feel like both the Hawks and the Bucks took the best players remaining rather than worried about fit and positioning. And I think that's great in the NBA draft, y'all. I think that's a very, very good take to do, especially as a GM, that like if you're struggling on who to take, whether it's between talent and fit, sometimes talent, it outweighs fit, y'all. It outweighs fit. And I agree with that comment, BZ. And don't worry, we are going to be talking about Acuff later. Okay. We are going to be talking about that later. So thank you. All right, let's move on to my final winner of the NBA draft. My final winners. Sorry about that. The lower third got glitched. I have the Oklahoma City Thunder, the New York Knicks, the Detroit Pistons, and the entire top 10. Sort of. So let's start with the Oklahoma City Thunder. My God, man, why do teams still make trades with Presti? Why do they still make trades with Presti? In case you listen, Shams was all over the place last night. We were doing the watch party and barely any of us were understanding what was actually going on. All right. But long story short, the Thunder traded, it's so confusing, bro. So they traded up, or no, they had the 12. They had the 12. My apologies. I'm getting ahead of myself. They got a Demara at the 12th spot. Michigan center, 7'3", 250. They picked him up. So what that means about Isaiah Hartenstein will be to be continued. What they ended up doing was they traded up from the 17th pick to the 16th pick from the Grizzlies. Okay. So they had the 16th pick and they picked Bennett Sturts. Now, this guy is a guy that I had on my radar as well for the Pistons. Let's talk about Mara first. Mara has made it much more complicated now on what we're actually going to do with Isaiah Hartenstein. I'm unsure what the plan is. Are they going to bring him back? I thought he did a great job against Victor Wembanyama, but this guy is 7'3", 255 pounds. Obviously, one of his biggest things are conditioning. That's his biggest problem. It's conditioning. But he's unusually skilled and unusually tall. He has good touch around the rim and is an outstanding passer and quick processor who excels out of playing out of a two-man action. While not the most mobile defender, his size makes him quality defensive deterrent around the basket. His biggest issues is getting out rebounded. He's not really that athletic. He's an unreliable jump shooter and his conditioning. So when you really look at that pick, it's not that different from Hartenstein, except Hartenstein is way bigger, way beefier. So is this the center of the future? In my opinion, they need to keep Isaiah Hartenstein and bring Mara off the bench. That's my honest answer. I think you got to bring him off the bench. I think the future potential front court of Chet Holmgren and Ade Mara is very intriguing, and you'd be lying if you said it wasn't. I think Hart is way more mobile. Hart is way more versatile. Hart can switch on almost every defender. I don't think Mara is capable of doing that. He might look like a better passer, but don't underestimate Isaiah Hartenstein's passing ability. It's very interesting. And of course, they have Thomas, what's his name? Thomas Sorber. Yeah, Thomas Sorber. But he got hurt last year, so I don't know, man. It's a very interesting pickup. Now, as far as their pick that they traded up for with Bennett, this guy is the best shooter in the entire draft. Bennett Sturts. He was drafted by the Grizzlies, but of course, Oklahoma traded for the pick. He's the best shooter. He's not one of the best shooters in the NBA draft. He is the best shooter in the NBA draft. He's the best shooter. Undisputed. He's the best shooter. He's 6'4", 190. Now, his weakness is that he lacks burst and strength for an NBA ball handler, sometimes struggling to get clean separation off the dribble. There's also concerns about his lack of athleticism and how it will translate defensively. He plays slow tempo, so it's going to be a hard transition to go to the fast tempo NBA. So for Pistons fans that wanted this guy and like have him to start at the 2, it was never going to happen. It was never going to happen. So shout out to the Thunder for making that pickup. He could be a very, very versatile shooter to have off the bench. But I think the main important keynote here is Ade Mara. It is. I appreciate the comment, Consumables. Thank you. I will show it here from now on more often. So I appreciate you for tuning in and giving me that advice. TikTok, if you guys are enjoying the stream, it's a much better viewing experience over here on the Twitch stream. That's Jay-Z Uncut. The link is in my bio. We still have a lot more to cover. So I hope more of you guys can come through to the Twitch. That's Jay-Z Uncut on Twitch. We'll be talking about a lot of these guys that you guys are asking me about. Don't you worry. All right. So all in all, I think Oklahoma is a major winner. They're going to have to make a tough decision what they're going to do with Isaiah Hartenstein. If you guys want my honest opinion, it's not a tough decision. It's not. You bring back iHeart. You bring him back no matter what. You do. Now, New York. Let's talk about New York real quick. Now, you guys are probably looking at this board and saying, wait, Jay-Z, I don't see New York anywhere here. Well, that's because New York traded their one pick. Okay. In fact, they traded their picks and instead they opted to get 5 second-round picks. They got 5 second-round picks now. And in case you guys don't know, second-round picks from here on out for the next 3 years are going to be way more valuable than 1 and even 2 late first-round picks. New York just did something and they entered the second round, which is going to be much better down in the future. Then I think the Knicks made out. I'm calling the Knicks a winner. I think Leon Rose did his thing. He's not really a fan of any of the late first rounders. And now he's got 5 second-round picks. And on top of that, there was a very important tweet that I saw, and this might involve some of your guys' teams. So some tax/apron related fallout from tonight's pick drafts, or tonight's draft pick. So Cleveland shaved off $2.9 million by trading away number 29. Now $21.1 million under the tax. $29.1 million under the first apron and $42 million under the second apron before re-signing James Harden. Okay. Now Denver, they shaved off $3.1 million off by trading away number 26. Now $3.2 million under the first apron and $16.2 under the second apron. All right. New York, they shaved $3.3 million off by trading away number 24 and ending with no first round pick. Now $3.5 million under the first apron and $16.5 million under the second apron. And of course, Phoenix, they took on $2.9 million by acquiring number 30. Now $4.2 million over the tax and $3.8 million under the first apron. So Phoenix, they're not going to be a loser for me, right? Just know if you are a Phoenix fan, your franchise right now. I've talked about it a lot. I don't want to make any Suns fans upset, but I've talked about you guys a lot. Out of all the teams in the NBA, even the Kings, bro, the only team with no plan or future is the Phoenix Suns. That's the only team in the NBA. You can look at all 30 teams, and every single team has an actual young guy that has a super future potential star. The Suns have no plan. When I'm 33 years old, I'm 28 right now. When I'm 33, the Suns are still going to be paying Bradley Beal. That's my honest assessment of the Phoenix Suns. They are a loser, but I'm not going to call them a loser because I honestly forgot to add them. Koa Pete's a good player, though. He's a good player. He should be interesting. Should be interesting. Yes, the Cavaliers are going to be re-signing James Harden. Yes, which is going to put you into the tax. And on top of that, the Suns are in the tax, bro. They're in the tax. Like, what are we doing? Okay, so we've talked about those teams. Let's talk about Detroit now. So Detroit, let's talk about that real quick. They originally, since they had the third best record in the NBA behind Oklahoma and San Antonio, they had the 28th pick. In the Kevin Huerter trade, which sent Jaden Ivey to Jerusalem, the Pistons went up to the 21st pick. And on draft night, they moved up to the 17th pick. So the Grizzlies did another trade in which the Grizzlies obtained 5 second-round picks. So the Pistons obtained Ibuka Okori. And I didn't know about Okori. I got to be honest. I thought the Pistons were linked to Yax, and I thought the Pistons were linked to Cam Carr. Cam Carr ended up falling 24 to the Knicks, who then traded him to the Lakers. I did some research on Okori, and I think he's got a lot of potential. And honestly, I think he's got I think this is confident. He's got the best handles out of anybody in this entire NBA draft. He's got the best handles. On top of that, he's the second best shooter in this entire draft. I'm very surprised that I didn't know who this guy was. I'm not really. He's at Stanford. I think personally, maybe not over Kingston. He's got top 3 handles in the entire NBA draft. And on top of that, he's the second best shooter, according to every analytic they tracked in college basketball. The only guy he's behind, ladies and gentlemen, is the guy he got drafted after, Bennett Sturts. But Bennett Sturts can't dribble the ball. Bennett Sturts can't defend. Okori is an elite defender, an elite ball handler, and an elite shot creator. What he lacks is playmaking. Now, at first I said, why did we draft another Marcus Sasser? This guy's better than Marcus Sasser, respectfully. He scored 38 points on UNC this year. He dropped 40 in a game. He averaged 23 something in college. So he's definitely a really good player. The only issue is that he's 6'2". So I don't think he's going to be a lead guard, but the comparisons to Tyrese Maxey, I think it's very interesting. I think this guy could be fun. I think this guy could be very fun. Shout out Stanford. Shout out Okori, bro. My only issue Is JB Dickerstaff going to be playing him? That's my only issue. Is Dickerstaff going to be playing him? I don't know. He's getting a bunch of Maxey comparisons. His main comp was Tyrese Maxey. Dickerstaff doesn't like small guards, but he's got ball handling, he's got shot creation, and he's got defense. So it should be interesting. I'm excited about that pick. So shout out to the Pistons. They're one of my winners. And then my final winner is the entire top 10. Okay. Sorta. Let me explain why it's sorta. If you guys look at the top 10, you got Debanza, you got Peterson, you got Boozer, you got Wilson, and you got Wagler, right? Those are all guys that followed the entire script. You cannot see the full list on TikTok, unfortunately. That screen is too little. If you would like to see the entire screen, come through to the Twitch stream. That's Jay-Z Uncut on Twitch. The link is in my bio. It's a much better viewing experience over here. Then the Brooklyn Nets mixed it up with Mikal Brown Jr. And to be honest, I know he gets a lot of flack, but I like him as a player. I think he's got a lot of talent. So shout out to him. The Nets, they've had bad luck. Now, the reason why I said the entire top 10 sorta is because my biggest issues with this top 10 is Darius Acuff and Morris Johnson Jr. Now, before you guys freak out, it's not Acuff that's the problem. But for number 9, I'm low-key hung up on Morris Johnson Jr. I'm hung up on this. I'm very, 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 very hung up on this. In fact, hold on. So Mark is proving my point right now in that I think the Pistons got a steal in the draft. Mark, who's a Magic fan, said, I knew that name. He's talking about Corey. I knew that name sounded familiar. Damn, man. I wanted the Magic to draft him. You just got top 5 most explosive player from the draft. Thank you very much. So my biggest complaint is Morris Johnson Jr. It is. I don't think he's not top 10. I think he could have been 10. My issue is the team that picked him. The Dallas Mavericks. I'm sorry, but I can't see the vision right now of Cooper Flagg and Morris Johnson. After doing some extensive research on Morris Johnson, I realized that his best NBA comp for me is Isaiah Stewart. Isaiah Stewart's an average three-point shooter. This guy can't shoot. So he's Isaiah Stewart without his threat from deep. So in my honest opinion, it's not the player that I have a problem with. It's the team that picked him. And I understand Dusty May, who was the University of Michigan coach and is now the head coach for the Dallas Mavericks. I know he had a hand in this. But why did you pick Morris? I don't think he fits next to Cooper Flagg. I genuinely don't. It's not a knock against him. I just don't think he fits. He's a big, beefy, small center who can't shoot. He's mobile. He's a mobile defender. He is. But I don't know, man. And I understand you can develop players, but they're in the Western Conference, y'all. They're in the Western Conference. You can't develop height. You can develop skills. You can't develop height. So I don't know, man. It's confusing. We're live on Twitch, ladies and gentlemen. Jay-Z Uncut on Twitch. I already gave my thoughts on Detroit. Check out the podcast. It's on Spotify, YouTube, and Apple, and we're live on Twitch right now. I'm not giving my thoughts on Detroit again. Here's the thing. Here's the issue. If you guys watch on Twitch, I got this thing, right? Let me go ahead and take a picture of it just so my TikTok audience can understand. All right. When I'm live on Twitch, this is what you guys see. Okay. If you come to the Twitch, you see that I have a lower third at the bottom of the screen with the text and what segment I'm covering. Do you see this? So it says the biggest winners of the NBA draft. And then it's got OKC, New York, Detroit, and the entire top 10 sorta. If you guys watched on Twitch, this is the view that you guys get. You get the headline, you get everything that I'm covering. So stop coming in here and telling me to cover this, cover that, cover this. What are my thoughts on that? I already talked about all of it. You should have been in the Twitch stream. It's 100% free. And if you watch the first 3 Twitch streams ever, I will personally gift you a $6 subscription. So you do not get ads on Twitch. It's a much better viewing experience over here. So that's my main issue with the top 10. Morris Johnson, he's a great player. I just don't think he's the player that the Mavericks needed. They need a point guard of the future unless they're confident in Nembhard turning out to be their PG of the future. I don't think so. I think he's a good backup. I don't know, man. That's my biggest issue right here, ladies and gentlemen. I just don't think they needed him. Now, I can't wait to be proven wrong. Their perimeter defense is going to be awesome. I just thought that they needed a guard of the future. I thought they needed it. I don't think Kyrie's their guard of the future, so it's going to be interesting. I see so many people on TikTok saying, how do you like the 11th pick? How do you like the 17th pick? I've already talked about all of that. You guys got to follow the podcast or just come to the Twitch stream, Jay-Z Uncut. Yeah, I don't know what to tell y'all. Actually, this is a great comment. And you know what? Shout out to Nate for leaving the TikTok and coming through to the Twitch stream. Thank you for the follow, Nate. If you just watch 2 more streams in a row, I will personally gift you a $6 subscription. Nate said when he came to the Twitch, just joined from TikTok, I have faith in the Morris pick. Dusty definitely knows something that we don't. Also, we picked up a Luka clone at the 25th pick. I agree. He's not going to be Luka, but yeah, he's got similarities. You know what, Nate? You're swaying me towards the Morris pick. I'm not upset about it. I'm just confused about it, and I'm looking forward to be proven wrong. Be sure to join the Discord as well, Nate. Shout out to you for leaving the TikTok and coming through to the Twitch. Now, let's go ahead and talk about my losers, okay? By the way, a couple minor winners. I'm going to go with the Lakers getting Cameron Carr. I can't wait for him to drop 20 points in a game and then being told that he's the greatest player in the NBA. Can't wait for it. I think it was a good pickup with the trade from New York and getting Cameron Carr. I think that was a good pick. I think Koa Pete is a pretty good pick for the Suns. And I think Chris Sinak was a really good pickup for the Boston Celtics. Is there anything I missed? Have I talked about pretty much everybody on here? Phylon Jr., I think Philadelphia has one of the more exciting backcourt in the entire NBA. I think they do. I think they really do. So I'm excited for Philly as well. I don't think I've missed really anybody else. I love what Chicago did. I don't think I talked about, I don't think I talked about the top 5 enough. Let me talk about them very quickly, all right? Yo, shout out to Enact. Thank you for the follow on Twitch. I appreciate you very much. Enact said, just joined from TikTok. Having Caleb go to the Bulls reminds me of MJ. We'll see, bro. We'll see. I got to talk about him real quick, okay? Let's talk about the top 5 real quick, okay? So Darren Peterson, I already talked about enough about Debanta. Yes, Atlanta was my biggest winner. One of my biggest winners. Darren Peterson has the potential to be one of the best scorers in the NBA. He does. I think Darren Peterson is the best scorer in this best pure scorer in this entire draft. But he's got a lot to work on. And being picked to Utah, it's going to be interesting. They got Keontae George. They got Ace Bailey. So I don't know how the fit is going to work, but like I told y'all just a second ago, sometimes it doesn't matter about fit. It doesn't matter about position. You just pick the talent out there and you figure it the hell out later. So shout out to the Jazz for taking Darren Peterson. I'm glad they did that. Yeah, his biggest problem, of course, is his shot selection. He takes some bad shots, but so do a lot of other NBA players. Shea takes horrible shots. Brunson takes awful shots. But when you're that good, sometimes it doesn't matter. Cameron Boozer now is probably my biggest hot take of this entire NBA draft. Cam Boozer went to the Grizzlies, okay? He went to the Grizzlies, and he just looks like a Grizzly. I said it before the draft in my watch party, in my Discord server, that he just looks like a Grizzly. Now, my biggest issue with him is that he could be a good center, but I don't think he can be a great one. I think it's more realistic to say he could end up like Jahlil Okafor than end up like Jokic, who's getting a lot of the cheap comparisons. I know he's a 4, but I'm scared to see what the Grizzlies are going to be running him at. I don't know if Zach Edey's going to be hurt. I don't know. If Zach Edey is still hurt, he's probably going to be at their center spot, and I don't like that. I don't like that at all. He's slow. He's not athletic. The good thing that he has is his playmaking and his putting the ball on the floor. Those are the good things he's got. My biggest issue is that you could outmuscle guys in college, but I don't think he's going to be able to outmuscle. And could you imagine Cam Boozer having to guard Jalen Duren with all due respect? Jalen Duren's got one skill right now, and it's being big and having muscles. I hope he can have a good career, and I hope to be surprised. If you don't like that take, that's fine. It was a hot take. I'm excited to see Cam Boozer, but I'm also happy that he's on the Grizzlies, and not the next pick, because shout out to Caleb Wilson. I got a special feeling about this kid, y'all. I got a special feeling about this kid, Caleb Wilson. My only problem with this pickup is I worry. Remember, I told you, pick the best player. Pick the best player and worry about fit and talent later. Because in my opinion, Montez Buzelis and Caleb Wilson are going to clash on this roster. They're both raw, athletic, stupid, jump out the gym guys, and neither one of them have really a consistent three-point shot. So I think Caleb Wilson's upside is probably the highest out of anybody on this list. I just worry about fit, but that's okay. They can play next to each other. It's just going to be a little tricky in that rookie year because they haven't developed, respectfully, they haven't developed Montez Buzelis at all. Because of who, ladies and gentlemen? Bulls fans, because of who? Because of one man. He would make one mistake and get yanked. Who am I talking about, y'all? Yo, Chick, thank you so much for the follow on Twitch. I appreciate you very much. Shout out to you for leaving the TikTok stream and coming through to the Twitch stream. Welcome. Be sure to join the Discord. That's right. Nobody guessed it, but Billy Donovan. Billy Donovan would not let Montez Buzelis develop whatsoever. Every time Montez made one mistake, he would get yanked and benched for the rest of the half. And that pisses me off. Thank God they got rid of Billy Donovan. I was so annoyed. I know none of you guys watch the Bulls, but I'm telling you right now, if Billy Donovan was still here, it would not work out. And say what you will about the Giddy, the Giddler. Say what you will about him. He's a good playmaker. I think he can get the ball in the hands of Caleb Wilson and Montez Buzelis. I think they're going to be a very fast team. They're going to be a very fun, young, and fast team, and I'm excited. I'm super excited because Billy Donovan is gone. I'm excited to watch a young team be a young team and not be punished for making young player mistakes. God, I hate Billy Donovan. Okay, yeah, Kean Wagler, I think the worst position he could have gone to is the Clippers. I think fit is going to be rough. I think he needs the ball in his hands and he needs the confidence to just do whatever he wants. Now he's going to have some pressure on him, unfortunately. Okay, let's go ahead and talk about my biggest losers, all right? Well, I think you all could see this one coming from a mile away. My number one biggest loser is the New Orleans Pelicans. My biggest loser of the entire night is the New Orleans Pelicans. Think about being a bad basketball team and getting nothing in return for it. I've talked about this constantly. I'm not going to harp on this being the biggest loser for too long, but you are arguably one of the worst basketball teams, one of the worst franchises, one of the lowest attendance in fans. And everyone outside of New Orleans, hell, people in New Orleans are begging you to be relocated. You were so bad for so long, and you're going to continue to be so bad for so long, and you did not have a pick in the first round. You have Joe Dumars at the helm and Troy Weaver on his right. Troy Weaver wants 5 first-round picks for Trey Murphy. Troy Weaver wants 2 first-round picks for Herb Jones. And all Zion wants is a fresh BBL and gumbo. The New Orleans Pelicans are my biggest loser of the NBA draft, and they weren't even in it. My next biggest loser is Darius Acuff Jr. Now, Darius Acuff Jr. is my biggest loser, not because of his skill, not because of his name, not because of the player, but because of where he was drafted to. Basically, what do we learn about the Sacramento Kings? Your career starts after Sacramento. And the case is very true for most players other than ones who've gotten hurt, like De'Aaron Fox, like DeMarcus Cousins. But when you look at everybody else, Tyreke Evans, Tyrese Halliburton, basically Luka Doncic, because he was in their hands, all of these players, and you guys can name 100 more, all of these players do better once they leave Sacramento. And this is my main problem with the Kings. They're the second worst franchise, I believe, or second worst plan for the future of their franchise in the NBA. The number one worst plan are the Phoenix Suns. The second worst plan is the Sacramento Kings. You got one good young guy in Keegan Murray, and he's not even, with all due respect, he's not even like that. He's not even like that. But Darius Acuff wanted to go there. Darius Acuff and his camp wanted him to go there. They need a point guard. Can Darius Acuff be that? Can he do something? I'm excited to watch him. I'm very excited to watch Darius Acuff. He's going to be the only reason why I tune into the Sacramento Kings, because DeMar DeRozan wasn't cutting it. So I'm excited to watch Darius Acuff, but I still feel for him to be on that kind of franchise, because if he's playing with DeMar DeRozan, Zach LaVine, Domantas Sabonis, Malik Monk, there's not enough ball. There's not enough balls in the court, ladies and gentlemen. There's one basketball. There's one basketball. I'm being told that that's a talented lineup. That talented lineup won 17 games last year, and you just added a rookie point guard. That's talented TikTok. That's why I don't read the TikTok. You know, it's so funny because you asked me, what's your name? John, you asked me, why do you hate the TikTok? You just proved to me why I hate the TikTok chat. Why are you guys there? Come to the Twitch. Come talk to people that actually enjoy basketball. You did not just say this is a talented roster for the Kings. You didn't just say that. Leave the TikTok. Come to the Twitch stream. Jay-Z Uncut on Twitch. The link is in my bio. Get away from all the lack of ball knowers in there and come join a community that knows ball. Jay-Z Uncut on Twitch. Crypto, you're lying to me. You've been saying that for 7 months. So let's go ahead and talk about my final biggest loser of the NBA draft. It's Isaiah Evans. It's Isaiah Evans. Every single draft board had this man going top 15. Genuinely. I think the lowest I saw him was 21 by the Pistons. It's very interesting to me that a 6'6" sophomore from Fayetteville, shout out Fayetteville, North Carolina, out of Duke, who averaged 15 points, 3.5 rebounds, 1.5 assists on 43% shooting. I'm surprised teams didn't gamble on him. You know, there were some gambles in the first round. There were. His splits aren't that bad. 28 minutes, 43% from the field, 36% from three, 86% from the free throw line. I don't know. I don't understand why he fell. I don't understand why. Does anybody know why he fell so much and fell out of the first round? I'm very surprised. No, he fell to the second round. He was 24-26 as far as I'm aware. I wanted the Knicks to take him badly. Why? Why is he? Why did he fall out? I'm very curious. Not enough talent. I feel good about Yax. The only issue is Yax. Fun fact about Yax. I know a lot of people are asking me about Yax. This is off topic. Nobody got him. Fun facts about Yax. All right. He got drafted by the Warriors at 11. When Yax was a freshman, so were Scotty Barnes and Cade Cunningham. I want you to let that sink in real quick. When Yax was a freshman in college, so was Cade Cunningham and so was Scotty Barnes. They were all freshmen together. And yet he's just now entering the NBA now, and Cade just wrapped up his 5th year. So just letting y'all know. Yo, Unk Canada and Jamanga, thank you guys so much for the follows on Twitch. I appreciate you guys very, very much. Thank you for leaving the TikTok and coming through to the Twitch stream, guys. Be sure to join the Discord, !Discord in the chat. I don't think Yax is a loser. I think they needed an older rookie. So I don't think he's a loser. They needed an older rookie. I don't know if he wanted to be smart, because Cade Cunningham now has made over $500 million being in the NBA. He's got his own signature shoe coming out. So saying he wants to be smart is crazy. Cade Cunningham is probably worth $500 million right now, bro. And you're talking about he wanted to be smart? I don't think that's smart, bro. I don't think that's smart at all. He just knows he wasn't like that. No team with all ball dominant players are ever successful. Okay, that makes sense. That's why he fell. Well, this guy's my biggest. He's one of my losers as well. He's one of my main losers as well. Isaiah Evans didn't get picked up. It's truly unfortunate. It's sad. It's upsetting. But hey, man, hopefully he gets picked up. Hopefully he gets picked up early in the second round. We shall see. I'm being told to check the Discord, even though it's off topic. I'm not quite sure what I'm supposed to be looking at. Papo sent a link, and his name is, this is a draft pick. Alan Graves. Alan Studies. Personal Bible Studies and Scriptures. Main account, Alan Graves. God's Child. Is this who Toronto picked? Yeah, this is who Toronto picked. Uh-oh. 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 That's all I'll say. He has an Instagram page for his prayers. Got it. Okay. Well, maybe it'll steer him away from what the other guy did. Okay, guys. As we all know, this is a very, very, very guard heavy draft. All in all, I have a question for you. And let me know in the comments down below as well if you are watching this podcast after the fact. Who do you think, unbiased, it cannot be your own team, okay? Who do you think was the best pick in this draft, not counting the top 10? Eliminate the top 10. Eliminate the top 10. Unbiased, not your team. Who do you think was the best pick in this draft? Since I'm eliminating my team, I cannot pick Okori. Okay. I think I'm going to go outside of the top 10, and I'm going to pick Cameron Carr for the Los Angeles Lakers or Chris Sinak for the Boston Celtics. I'm seeing a lot of I'm seeing a lot of different answers. I appreciate all these comments, guys. Wow. Lakers, I think Mara to OKC, that's a great pickup as well. Cam Carr, Mara to OKC, the Hornets. I think Sinak was a steal that late. Absolutely. Flemings or Mara for sure. Steinbeck, good pick. Good pick. They love their white boys. Sinak, yeah. Flemings or Mara, Phylan. Yeah. Nate Ament. That's the pick I was looking for. Nate Ament. Love it. Love it, guys. Love the Ament pick. Love the Ament pick. I'm very happy for the Hawks and the Bucks. I think these are all great pickups. Shout out to Hefe and Jamal for leaving the TikTok and coming through to the Twitch stream. I appreciate you guys very, very much. Thank you all so much. Now, on that note, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for today's podcast. I hope you all enjoyed. We broke it down. We talked about 47 minutes on this NBA draft first round. I believe the second round is tonight. We'll talk about it Friday. There's no podcast tomorrow unless Giannis gets traded again. Our summer podcast schedule is Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We did an extra show yesterday on Tuesday because Giannis got traded. So unless Giannis gets traded again tonight, there's no podcast tomorrow. So we will be back Friday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern. TikTok, if you guys are enjoying today's stream, we are still live on Twitch. That's Jay-Z Uncut on Twitch. The name is right there. The link is in my bio. I'd love to see you guys come through. If you have any more questions in relation to this NBA draft or questions about what your team should do, or you just want to talk hoops or just talk to me and hang out, Jay-Z Uncut, the link to my Twitch stream is in my bio. All right. I hope to see you guys come through because we're still live over here. I got nothing left to say, y'all, except for thank you for being here. Thank you for being you. And ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, say it every day, but thank you all so much for watching and listening. And I hope to catch you guys Friday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern. Love y'all and have a blessed day.